Welcome to the channel, where today we plunge into one of the most baffling, adrenaline-charged, and potentially fortune-changing mysteries in the entire world of coin collecting, a story so steeped in secrecy, speculation, and wild twists that it almost sounds too extraordinary to be real, yet it revolves around something as small, unassuming, and easily overlooked as the 2006 United States one-dime coin, a piece of currency you've probably handled dozens of times without giving it a second thought. But what if I told you that hidden among the billions minted that year at the Denver Mint, there could be a tiny handful, perhaps only one or two, that due to a series of extraordinary, almost impossible minting errors and production anomalies, have transformed into legendary rarities, the kind of coins that could ignite bidding wars among collectors, draw whispers of government cover-ups, and fetch prices so high they make the stock market look like pocket change? And what if I told you that these coins are not the kind of errors you see every day? This isn't a simple double strike or an off-center stamping. No, this is something so strange, so statistically improbable, that even the most seasoned numismatists struggle to explain it without drifting into the territory of conspiracy theories and whispered lore. And it all begins with the year 2006. A year when the US Mint was modernizing equipment, implementing new quality control procedures, and yet somehow, against every policy, every safeguard, and every logical expectation, a few coins may have slipped through the presses bearing flaws so subtle and yet so groundbreaking in their implications that they rewrite the book on minting errors. Because imagine a 2006 dime struck not on the proper copper-nickel-clad planchet, but perhaps on a leftover silver planchet from decades earlier, or even more bizarre, on a foreign coin blank intended for another nation's currency. Imagine the weight slightly off, the reeded edge imperfect, the luster unlike any other dime of its era, and imagine that these anomalies weren't noticed because the errors were so deceptively normal-looking that only in the right light, under magnification, or in the hands of an obsessive expert could their true nature be revealed. And now picture a collector, rummaging through loose change or an inherited jar of coins, holding one of these in their hand without realizing that it could be worth tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet the story doesn't stop there, because every time we think we've reached the limits of numismatic mystery, another layer peels back, like the persistent rumors that during 2006, a series of experimental planchets were tested in Denver for durability and weight consistency, some of which accidentally entered circulation, or the even wilder theory that a rogue mint employee, aware of the historical potential, may have intentionally allowed a few experimental strikes to escape, a theory bolstered by scattered reports of similar anomalies surfacing in different states over the years, each time sparking a flurry of excitement in online collector forums and auction houses, and then vanishing into private collections, never to be seen again, driving up the mystique and the speculation until the 2006 dime became something of a ghost coin, whispered about but rarely confirmed, a numismatic Bigfoot. And when you layer on the historical context, the Denver Mint's long legacy of both precision and the occasional infamous slip-up, the mid-2000s wave of counterfeit fears and metal composition adjustments, and the obsessive drive of collectors who would cross the country on a rumor alone, you begin to see why this coin commands such fascination, because every detail fuels the narrative. The possibility of transitional errors where a 90% silver planchet from pre-1965 stock was somehow fed into a modern press, the off-metal strikes that could connect U.S. currency to foreign mints, the die polishing so extreme that certain features vanish entirely, creating ghostly, almost spectral images of Roosevelt's face or the torch, olive branch, and oak on the reverse. And then there's the chilling possibility of an undiscovered variety, one that experts haven't yet catalogued but that sits out there in someone's drawer, waiting to be recognized. A dime that could ignite a frenzy the moment it's confirmed. And if you think that's far-fetched, consider the real-world cases where coins once thought impossible turned up in the most ordinary places: a gas station till, a parking meter refund, a child's piggy bank, and suddenly became the center of high-profile auctions with news coverage, private security, and collectors flying in from across the globe just for a chance to hold them. So what if the next one to emerge is a 2006 dime, and what if it's you who finds it? Because that's the ultimate hook in this mystery, the idea that the rarest, most valuable coin you could ever imagine might be sitting in your pocket right now, overlooked by countless hands until it lands in yours. And that electric thrill, that heart-racing moment of recognition when you realize you've stumbled into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, is what drives the obsession, the endless searches, the sleepless nights spent comparing tiny details under a magnifying glass, chasing legends that may or may not be real. But here's the thing, every great coin mystery starts somewhere, and for the 2006 D-Dime, it starts with a handful of confirmed anomalies, whispered rumors, and the unshakable belief among serious collectors that there's more to the story, that hidden within the sea of ordinary dimes are a few that defy explanation, coins that shouldn't exist yet do, coins that bridge the gap between documented history and tantalizing speculation. And if history has taught us anything, it's that the truth behind these mysteries is often stranger, more dramatic, and far more valuable than anyone dares to guess, which means the next chapter in the saga of the 2006 D-Dime is still unwritten, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to write it. So keep looking, keep questioning, and never underestimate the power of a small mistake to create the most valuable coin ever struck. Next, 2021 D1 Dime, where today we are diving headfirst into one of the most baffling, electrifying, and potentially history-rewriting mysteries in the world of coin collecting, and it all centers around something so small, so seemingly ordinary, that you might have unknowingly passed it in change at a grocery store. Yet what if I told you that this unassuming piece of metal, a 2021 D1 Dime USA coin, could be worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but potentially millions of dollars? And not because it was minted in gold or studded with diamonds, but because of a mistake so rare, so unpredictable, and so shrouded in secrecy that it has ignited a firestorm of theories among collectors, historians, and even former mint employees who whisper about it like it's a state secret. And the more you hear, the more you realize this is not just a story about a coin, it's a story about chance, obsession, and a single, fateful slip in the production process that may have created one of the rarest treasures in American numismatic history. So let's set the stage. The year is 2021, the Denver Mint is operating at breakneck speed, producing millions of Roosevelt dimes to keep up with demand during a time when coin circulation was under unusual strain due to the lingering effects of a global pandemic. Machines are running 24/7. Workers are rotating shifts in a frenzy to keep up, and somewhere in that blur of clinking metal and the smell of freshly struck coins, something happened. Something tiny, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but catastrophic to the rules of minting perfection. Maybe it was a die that wasn't aligned, maybe a planchet that was never supposed to be used for a dime found its way into the press, maybe the wrong metal composition was accidentally fed into the coining chamber, or perhaps an experimental test strike escaped the facility entirely, hidden in a bag that was shipped out before anyone noticed. And here's where the theories multiply like wildfire. Some say a handful of 2021 D-Dimes were struck on foreign coin blanks intended for a discontinued program, others insist the lettering was misaligned in a way that has never before been documented, producing a Roosevelt profile that looks subtly off, as if caught mid-turn, while there are whispers, yes, whispers, that one coin in particular shows both a double strike and a ghostly, upside-down image of a 1940s wheat cent in the background, suggesting a freak mechanical overlap that defies explanation. And if that sounds impossible, remember that the U.S. Mint's history is littered with improbable accidents, from the 1955 double die cent to the 2004 Wisconsin quarter with the mysterious extra leaf. And yet what sets the 2021 D-Dime apart is not just the possibility of a minting anomaly, it's the secrecy. Because unlike older errors where the mint eventually acknowledged the mistake, there has been no official statement about anything unusual from the Denver facility in 2021, no paper trail, no admission, just silence, and in that silence collectors have found the fuel for their obsession, trawling through thousands upon thousands of circulated dimes, scouring online marketplaces for suspicious listings, tracking rumors of coins that vanished into private collections before anyone could photograph them, and one story in particular has taken on almost mythic status. A Colorado man, an amateur coin hunter, claims to have found one in his pocket change while buying a cup of coffee, noticed the odd texture of the rim, flipped it over, and realized he was holding something unlike any dime he'd ever seen. The weight was off by a fraction of a gram, the strike felt deeper, the letters along United States of America seemed stretched, and under magnification there appeared to be a faint secondary date beneath 2021, as though another year had bled through time itself onto this coin. And within days, he was contacted anonymously by someone offering him 6 figures for it in cash, no questions asked, but before the deal could be completed, the man claims the coin was stolen from his home in a break-in where nothing else of value was taken, and to this day it has never resurfaced, spawning theories that it was recovered by the mint, seized by shadowy collectors, or perhaps destroyed to erase evidence of the mistake. Yet every time such a story surfaces, more and more people begin to wonder if there's a small stash of these error 2021 D dimes hidden away in safe deposit boxes, waiting for the perfect moment to re-emerge when the market is hungry enough to pay millions. And the deeper you go into this rabbit hole, the stranger it gets. Former mint workers recall seeing security teams swarm production floors in early 2021, entire pallets of coins pulled and melted with no explanation. And a former quality control contractor hinted in a now-deleted forum post that an unscheduled material swap occurred during that year, possibly introducing an alloy never intended for circulation, meaning that if you're holding one of these rare anomalies, it might not only be an error, it might be a coin made from a metal blend never before used in US currency, effectively making it a one-of-a-kind artifact. And the auction world, ever hungry for the next record breaker, is quietly watching, knowing that when, if, one of these confirmed 2021 D-dime anomalies hits the block, it could shatter price expectations and rewrite the list of the most valuable coins ever sold, perhaps even challenging the legendary 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle for the top spot. So now the question isn't just, does it exist, but, would you even know if you had one, because the very traits that make it extraordinary, slight shifts in lettering, ghostly images, minute weight differences, are the things most people would overlook, which is why every collector, from seasoned experts to casual hobbyists, is now on high alert, scanning every 2021 D-dime they encounter, because if history has taught us anything, it's that the most valuable treasures are often hiding in plain sight, and maybe, just maybe, right now, somewhere in a jar of loose change or in the drawer of a cash register, a dime that could change your life forever is waiting for you to notice it, to pluck it from obscurity and reveal it to the world, igniting the frenzy that will finally bring the truth about the 2021 D1 dime USA coin into the light, a truth that will prove that sometimes, the tiniest mistakes carry the weight of history and the promise of fortune beyond imagination. And if you're still watching, if you felt the pull of this mystery growing with each twist and revelation, then you already understand why this story refuses to fade, why the whispers won't stop, and why the search for this elusive coin may just be the greatest treasure hunt of our time. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity burning, and your change jar close, because one day, when the legend becomes reality, you'll want to be ready. Next 2001 P1 dime, where today we plunge headfirst into a mystery so layered, so electrifying, and so riddled with unanswered questions that it might change the way you look at pocket change forever. Because what if I told you that a single, small, silver-colored coin you've likely passed over 1,000 times in your life, a 2001 P1 dime USA coin, could, under the right circumstances, be worth not just hundreds or thousands, but potentially enough to buy a house, a luxury car, or secure your financial future, all because of a series of minting errors, production anomalies, and strange twists of fate that have made certain specimens unimaginably rare, the kind of coin that keeps collectors up at night obsessing over microscopic details, poring over magnified photographs, and whispering about sightings as though discussing a forbidden relic. Because the truth is, this particular year and mint mark hides a story woven with historical context, government oversight, and whispers of accidents that may or may not have been accidents at all. And it all starts in the bustling, precision-driven Philadelphia Mint at the dawn of the 21st century, where billions of coins were being struck to fuel the ever-growing economic engine of America. Yet somewhere in that ocean of dimes something went wrong, or perhaps, as some conspiracy-minded numismatists suggest, something went exactly as planned. Because the 2001 P dime has turned up in a tiny handful of cases showing bizarre features that should never exist together, anomalies so striking that experienced graders have had to pause and re-examine what they thought they knew about the minting process, from dramatic double strikes that warp the Roosevelt portrait into an almost surreal caricature, to off-center strikes that leave gaping crescents of blank planchet shimmering like an uncompleted thought, to wrong planchet errors where the dime's design appears on copper-colored cent stock or silvery quarter metal, creating a Franken coin that defies both logic and the law of minting machinery. And yet these are only the beginning, because layered beneath those are even stranger finds, faint ghost images of other coins beneath Roosevelt's face hinting at die clashes of such intensity that they transferred unintended details, microlettering anomalies that shift the alignment of "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" by mere millimeters yet send prices skyrocketing, and in one legendary case, a specimen where the mint mark P appeared doubled so cleanly and perfectly that even the most skeptical experts called it one of the finest minting accidents ever documented. But the question that gnaws at collectors and fuels late-night forum debates is how these coins slipped into circulation at all when the mint's quality control in 2001 was supposedly at its most rigorous, leading to theories that range from rogue employees smuggling out curiosities, to experimental test strikes that accidentally entered the wild, to catastrophic equipment failures hushed up by official silence, and as each new example surfaces, often pulled from pocket change by some unsuspecting person who thought they were just paying for a coffee, the value climbs because rarity feeds obsession and obsession fuels the hunt, and the hunt itself becomes part of the legend, with tales of collectors driving across states chasing rumors of a single coin in a dealer's binder, of estate sales where heirs unknowingly sell treasure for face value, of seasoned experts holding a 2001 P dime under a jeweler's loupe and realizing they're staring at something no catalog fully describes, and then there are the whispers about the lost hoard, a rumored cache of error dimes allegedly discovered in an abandoned bank deposit box whose location remains a closely guarded secret, its existence unconfirmed yet constantly hinted at in hushed conversations between those who deal in numismatic rarities, and the emotional pull of such stories is undeniable because we all want to believe that hidden within the mundane there might be a miracle, that the clink of a coin in your palm could be the sound of destiny, and the 2001 P dime embodies that hope perfectly, because for every person who has found one and seen their life change overnight there are thousands more searching, learning to spot the tiniest die crack, the subtlest off-metal tint, the barely there doubling that separates a life-altering treasure from a 10-cent trinket, and in this endless chase the coin becomes more than metal, it becomes a symbol of luck, of vigilance, of the idea that history's strangest accidents can be hiding in plain sight, and as you hear about auction records where a single flawed dime fetched tens of thousands of dollars because two collectors refused to back down, or read the accounts of how some errors were only identified years later when technology made microscopic analysis possible, you start to wonder how many extraordinary coins are still out there undiscovered, quietly passing from hand to hand at grocery store checkouts, vending machines, and coin jars on kitchen counters, their true nature invisible to the untrained eye, and it's in that possibility, that mingling of history, human error, and sheer chance, that the 2001 P dime's power lies, making it not just a collectible but a living mystery, one that tempts, teases, and rewards those bold enough to look closer, because maybe, just maybe, the next time you turn over a dime in your change, you won't just be holding currency, you'll be holding a piece of American minting history so rare and so steeped in intrigue that its story will outlive you, ensuring that the legend of the 2001 P dime continues to grow, evolve, and inspire, drawing in the next generation of treasure hunters who will keep asking the same question we're asking now. What if a small mistake made it the most valuable coin ever struck, and what if that mistake is sitting in your pocket right now, waiting to be found? Next 2002 P1 dime, and imagine this, a coin so unassuming, so ordinary in appearance, that it could slip through your fingers and vanish into the change jar on your kitchen counter without you ever realizing you just touched a fortune. Yet this is no ordinary dime, this is the 2002 P1 dime USA coin, a piece that in certain forms, with certain bizarre and almost mythical minting errors, has been whispered about in collector circles as one of the most extraordinary numismatic enigmas in modern American history, raising the almost unbelievable question, what if a small, almost invisible mistake during its creation made it the most valuable coin ever struck? The year was 2002, the Philadelphia Mint was running at full speed, churning out tens of millions of Roosevelt dimes for everyday commerce, and yet somewhere in that blur of machinery, heat, and steel, something happened. Something that defied the tightest quality controls and escaped the eyes of even the most meticulous inspectors, a slip in the precision dance between die and blank, a microsecond's misalignment, a flaw in the metal, an over-polished die, or perhaps an even more cryptic anomaly. Some say a double strike so faint it could be missed unless tilted just right under a beam of sunlight, others swear there are examples where the dime was struck on the wrong planchet entirely, ending up on a piece of metal meant for a foreign coin or even another denomination, giving it an impossible weight and composition that shouldn't exist, and yet here they are, few in number, cloaked in rumor. Their origins tangled in speculation. Were they accidents, deliberate experiments, or the result of a government cover-up to hide a far greater minting blunder? History tells us that in 2002 the mint was under pressure to modernize, to cut costs and speed up production, and this sometimes meant pushing machinery past its limits, replacing dies later than scheduled, or skipping certain routine checks, and in this high-pressure environment, anomalies could slip through, but what if the anomalies were not random? What if someone inside the mint knew exactly what they were doing, creating a coin that would later spark obsessive hunts among collectors, a phantom prize that turned ordinary people into treasure seekers, scouring their spare change with a magnifying glass, chasing a ghost worth tens of thousands, or maybe even hundreds of thousands, of dollars? The rarity of confirmed error 2002 P dimes makes them a near legend. Stories circulate of garage sale finds, inherited coin jars, or a dime discovered in the tip jar of a diner that, once authenticated, turned out to be worth more than the car parked outside, and each tale adds fuel to the fire, making the line between truth and myth blur until even experts hesitate. Did they hear it from a credible source or from a friend of a friend? Some theorize that the most bizarre examples are still undiscovered, sitting in forgotten drawers or hidden in rolls of dimes in bank vaults, quietly waiting for the right eyes to notice the off-center strike, the mirrored proof-like finish on a coin never meant for collectors, the clipped planchet that reveals a jagged bite out of history itself, or the dramatic double die that magnifies Roosevelt's features into surreal distortion. Others insist that a small batch was struck on 90% silver. Planchets left over from pre-1965 production, an impossible scenario given official records, but official records have been wrong before, haven't they? And then there's the darker twist, the whispers about coins intentionally altered at the mint, smuggled out not for profit but as proof of internal sabotage or protest against policy changes, the kind of inside story the government would never confirm, because to do so would open a door to questions about other denominations, other years, other, ordinary, coins with extraordinary secrets. And in this atmosphere of suspicion, the 2002 P dime transforms from a piece of metal into a key, a potential link to a hidden chapter in American minting history. The deeper you go, the more tangled it becomes. Metallurgical tests showing trace elements inconsistent with domestic production, weight measurements off by a fraction that's just enough to matter, die markers that match no known set of production dies for that year. Auction results where a single pristine error specimen sells for a sum that makes headlines in numismatic circles but barely scratches the surface of its speculative value, and still, the mystery grows, every story told about it pulls in more hunters, more theorists, more skeptics turned believers. Imagine holding one in your hand, feeling its cool weight, knowing that it has passed through countless hands, bought coffee, sat in pockets, and yet all that time it carried a secret that only now is coming to light, a secret so potent that once revealed, it could reshape the market for modern U.S. coins and prove that lightning can indeed strike in the most unexpected of places, that history can hide in plain sight, that you could be one casual glance away from discovering something that changes your life forever. And as you think about that, remember this, coins like the 2002 P dime are not just metal, they are mysteries, locked boxes of history, waiting for the one person curious enough, patient enough, and perhaps lucky enough to break them open and rewrite what we thought we knew about chance, value, and the silent treasures hiding in the palm of your hand. So keep your eyes sharp, because the next time you get a dime in change, it might not just be 10 cents, it might be the key to the most thrilling coin hunt of the century, a hidden fortune disguised as pocket change, a true testament to how the smallest mistakes can become the most legendary of treasures, and how one unassuming 2002 P dime might just be the greatest hidden prize in American numismatic history. Next, 2005 P1 dime, where today we plunge headfirst into one of the most electrifying mysteries in all of modern numismatics, a story so loaded with intrigue, suspense, and unanswered questions that it forces you to ask yourself, what if a small, almost invisible mistake made this the most valuable coin ever struck, and what if that coin was something as ordinary seeming as a 2005 P1 dime USA piece, a coin you might have held in your hand 100 times without ever suspecting that one of its kind could be hiding secrets worth more than a luxury home, because the tale of the 2005 P dime is not simply the story of a 10-cent coin, it is a web of accidental genius, clandestine blunders, government oversight gaps, and the obsessive hunt of collectors who will stop at nothing to possess a coin that, in some variations, should not even exist. And to truly understand why this particular date and mint mark has numismatists pacing the floor at night, you have to rewind to the mid-2000s, when the Philadelphia Mint was operating at a blistering pace, cranking out billions of coins to feed the nation's ever-hungry circulation, the machinery pounding relentlessly, dies striking with the force of industrial thunder, each blow a fraction of a second long yet determining whether a coin would be utterly mundane or a numismatic legend, and somewhere in that process, something happened. Something subtle enough to slip past quality control yet monumental enough to transform a humble dime into a multi-thousand or even million-dollar prize. Theories abound about what that something was. Some point to die misalignments that caused design elements to ghost or double in ways never officially recorded. Others believe a small batch was accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign currency, their metallic composition slightly off, producing a ring to the sound that only the most attuned collector's ear can detect, while the more conspiratorial whisper about experimental strikes, pattern coins that somehow leaked from the mint, perhaps carried home by an employee who didn't know, or perhaps did know, their future worth. And as the years passed, isolated discoveries of anomalous 2005 P dimes began surfacing in the numismatic underground, each one stirring debate, pushing values higher, fueling late-night bidding wars on shadowy online auctions where usernames hide real identities and bids leap from hundreds to thousands in the blink of an eye. And then came the bombshell find, a pristine, almost otherworldly example pulled from an uncirculated roll, exhibiting a combination of errors so bizarre it defied known categories, an off-center strike, mirror-like proof surfaces despite being a circulation coin, and a faint but undeniable doubling on Roosevelt's profile, a piece that experts could not fully explain, yet unanimously agreed was unique, a freak accident of the minting process that might never happen again, sparking a frenzy of speculation about how many more might be out there and whether some were already in the pockets and change jars of unsuspecting Americans, which leads to the most intoxicating part of this mystery, the idea that right now, somewhere, an ordinary person could be holding a 2005 P dime worth more than their car, their house, maybe even their entire savings, without the faintest idea. A thought that drives treasure hunters to dump jars of coins onto kitchen tables under the dim light of a magnifying lamp, sifting through hundreds, thousands, in the hope of striking gold in the form of 10 cents, and the history surrounding this year adds more fuel to the fire, because 2005 marked the midpoint of a turbulent decade for the U.S. Mint, plagued by shifting alloy costs, experimental production runs, and increasing scrutiny over error coins making it into circulation. So if a rogue batch of ultra-rare 2005 P dimes was born of an equipment glitch, a misfeed, or an unsanctioned test, it's entirely possible the incident was hushed up to protect the mint's reputation, especially if those coins were already slipping into the public's hands before anyone realized, and when you pair that with the undeniable fact that certain high-grade examples have already sold for sums that seem absurd for a coin whose face value could barely buy a gumball, you start to see why this is less a casual collector's curiosity and more an active, ongoing treasure hunt with real stakes, because each new discovery changes the landscape, each authentication by a respected grading service sends ripples through the market, and each whispered rumor of a new error variant rekindles the fever, and the more people talk, the more stories emerge, like the retired machinist who swears he found one in a bank-wrapped roll straight from the Federal Reserve, or the Florida fisherman who claims to have spotted an off-metal strike in his change at a bait shop and later sold it quietly to a private collector for a life-changing sum, or the numismatic student who, after months of fruitless searching, located an unreported double-denomination strike where a 2005 P dime had been accidentally overstruck on a cent planchet, creating a chimera of two coins in one, now insured for more than the median price of a new car, and still, no one knows the full truth, no one has the complete list of possible error types, and no one can say with certainty how many exist, which only makes the chase more intoxicating, because this is not just about owning a rare coin, it's about solving a puzzle, unearthing a secret, being part of a living mystery that stretches from the thunderous presses of the Philadelphia Mint to the quiet moments when someone, somewhere, looks down at their change and realizes they might be holding a legend. So as you sit there now, maybe with a few coins in your pocket or a dusty jar on the shelf, ask yourself, could you be holding the next great discovery? Could you be one magnifying glass away from uncovering the single most valuable dime of the 21st century? Because the 2005 P dime has proven that sometimes history hides in plain sight, waiting not for the richest or the most connected, but for the most observant, the most curious, and perhaps the most patient. And if this story has taught us anything, it's that in the vast ocean of everyday currency, there are still treasures lurking beneath the surface, and the next chapter of this saga could begin with you, your hands, and a coin you thought was just another dime until it wasn't. So keep your eyes sharp, your mind open, and remember that in the world of rare coins, the smallest details can carry the heaviest weight, the tiniest mistakes can birth the greatest fortunes, and the next legendary find could be rattling in your pocket at this very moment, waiting for its story to be told.